I want to say in the last 7 or 8 years, I should say. 8 years, technically, if you want to consider Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil has been on a massive, massive upswing. After the massive critical crippling that Resident Evil got with 5 and 6 especially, because people did not like Resident Evil going more action. And then they ended up releasing a bunch of side games in between, like Operation Raccoon City, Resident Evil Outbreak, so much stuff that kind of released in between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 7. We got a bunch of games and they weren't particularly good. It felt like Resident Evil was having a massive identity crisis. And then eventually it started to come back in the form of Resident Evil 7. Soft rebooting the whole franchise by removing all of the tangled messiness of the canon that was the series up until that point, and instead giving you Ethan Winters, the Baker family, and a first-person view. After 7, we got re-releases of games like 2 and 3, and of course, in the meantime, we also got Resident Evil 8 Village, and then, of course, Resident Evil 4 Remake, before getting Requiem, which will be coming out next year, if I remember correctly, 2026. But with that being said, however, it's interesting to see how all of these Resident Evil games are finally going to be coming to Switch 2. Come to think of it, did these games actually come out on Switch? I don't remember if they ever did, but if they didn't, then it's good that they're coming to Nintendo's platform as well, because I feel like these games do deserve to be everywhere, and I do believe that everyone deserves to play these games because they are genuinely really, really good, taking an older style of horror game, the isometric movement of older horror titles that we used to see on PS1, and bringing them more into the modern day type of control scheme. Granted, they won't ever be as bad as I wouldn't say that the PS2 era of horror games were bad, they just all felt very similar to each other and had to have some fairly unique selling points to set themselves apart. Because keeping in mind, during the PS2 era, we got Resident Evil 4, we got Silent Hill 2, we got the Siren series, and I feel like there is something that makes each of these things unique, whether it be the fog of Silent Hill 2 and the story of like losing people in a town, versus Resident Evil 4 being an exceptional title, to Siren having sight jacking, so being able to see through the eyes of the enemy as they pass by where you are hiding in a closet or something like that. Like, there's some really cool and unique stuff. So I do feel like horror games have kind of gone their way and now are starting to come back a little bit, albeit the indie space is kind of ruining that to some extent. So if nothing else, at least we can go back to a known IP that has been around for a while, that we know we can expect good quality from. So I really do believe that if these 6 Resident Evil games didn't go to Switch, they absolutely should have. Or it's great that they're going to Switch 2 rather. Or so it might seem, because this is all rumors. Dusk Golem, who has a long track record of reporting information about video games before it's made public, claims that ports of every Resident Evil game that was developed with the RE engine are coming to Switch 2 sooner or later. This would mean not only ports of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, Resident Evil Village, and the remakes of 2, 3, and 4, but also a port of Resident Evil Requiem. And this last one is very interesting, because I do wonder, will Resident Evil Requiem be a heavy game to run on a system like the Switch 2? Dusk Golem has initially made claims on the Reset Era forum last week, saying all the Resident Evil RE engine games are coming to Switch 2 as one might expect. Them coming, I know for a fact, but this next part is now my own conjecture. I'm guessing they're lining up a number of Switch 2 ports and those PS5 versions of various RE games rated within the last year as part of their 30-year anniversary celebration stuff. But that's a guess on my side. Them happening is not, though. And that's all said by Dusk Golem, who is, like I said, a known leaker who has leaked information in the past accurately when it comes to Resident Evil. So I do kind of wonder who this person is, all things considered. On Tuesday, a follower on X asked Dust Golem to confirm this is definitely the case, to which they replied that their sources said the games are in development. They also added that at least one of the games could be revealed at a heavily rumored Nintendo Direct this week, but that particular element was speculation on their part. And if I remember right, the Nintendo Direct has happened, but I haven't gone back and looked at what was announced, so I can't really confirm. I could just look it up right now, but it's gonna be pretty lazy on my part. But yeah. So yeah, working on porting all RE Engine Resident Evil games to Switch 2 for a hot minute now. Requiem should be landing on Switch 2 as well. Grapevine rumor and whatever have you, so it's very interesting to see. Actually, you know what? Let's have a quick look at what's going on. So if I go to Nintendo Direct September 2025, what was announced? Everything announced. Here we go. Let's see. Do we have anything related to Resident Evil? So we got Metroid Prime 4, which will be coming out in December. Fire Emblem Fortune, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Pokepia, Cozy Life Sim, Galaxy and Galaxy 2 coming out in October as a bundle. The new Super Mario movie arrives in April 2026. Yoshi gets a new game. Nintendo's recreating a Virtual Boy as a physical item. That's actually kind of interesting. Pokemon Legends ZA, Super Mario Wonder, Nintendo Switch 2 version, Mario Tennis Fever, Mario Bros 40th anniversary, Hyrule Warriors doing a thing, Hades 2. Oh, that's cool. Resident Evil Requiem gets a terrifying trailer and a Switch 2 release date. So it looks like all we have is the fact that we know Resident Evil Requiem gets a confirmation that it will be released on, and it's also confirmed that Resident Evil 7 Biohazard and Resident Evil Village will be released Switch 2 February 27th. So 7, 8, 9 are coming out all on the same day, but there doesn't seem to be any mention of the other titles. Pirate Warriors 4, no. Oh, we're getting a Monster Hunter Stories 3. Hell yeah. Okay, I'm going to talk about that later. Dynasty Warriors Origin, Suika Game, Stormlancers, Fatal Frame 2. Fatal Frame 2? Ain't no way. Anyway, Danganronpa 2-2, which is a 2x2, which is another re-release of 2 again, I guess. Yep, okay, there doesn't seem to be anything else in particular. Okay, so at the end of the day, it seems like, okay, it has been officially announced that 7, Village, and Requiem are definitely coming all out on the same day, which is in February the 27th, but 2, 3, 4, nowhere to be seen, found, or heard of otherwise. But it's interesting that, like, I feel like the rumors are going to remain on the grapevine for the time being. And I suppose that's, like, the closest thing to actually seeing any real, research on my part, I guess, because normally I just use the single article as a point of reference and talk about it, but sometimes I do look things up after the fact and add it in later. But I did it while recording this time around just to make it seem like a significantly more relaxed recording. That being said, though, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. Are you going to be trying out Resident Evil 7 Village or Requiem on the Switch 2? Or have you already played it and you're just good with it? Or if you've never played it and you want to try it out, will you try it on the Switch 2? I can't imagine it being a great place to play, since it's probably better to play on a larger screen, but that's just me. With all that being said, though, like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year, and with all that being said, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.